Okay, we are back. We've made the switch. Everything working for you there, Silas? Give us a mic test.
Sure is.
So we have Silas. I'm sorry, I don't know your last name.
Clark.
Silas Clark. And you want to tell the audience a little bit about yourself first?
I'm the city administrator here in beautiful Ouray, Colorado. Been here for just about 3 years. Originally came out of Nebraska, city manager there, and then applied for this job, and that's how we ended up out here.
Okay, so what is some of the basic responsibilities as a city manager? I mean,
sure, you bet.
In Ouray.
Yeah, you bet. So as the city manager in general is so all of the city staff are mine. And then I directly work for the mayor and council, so is who hires and fires me, and then all the rest of the staff, like I said, are mine, and then running the budget. Day-to-day operations for the city here in Ouray. It is a very interesting place just because we have got a lot of park property around. We have 2 beautiful waterfalls here that the city owns. And then we also have the Via Ferratas and the ice park also that the city has management agreements with. So it makes it unique beyond just streets and roads and water and sewer.
Totally. So there's another waterfall too. Is that not? Is there 3 waterfalls in Ouray, or is one outside?
Yeah, there is one right down the highway.
Okay.
It's right outside of town though.
Right.
Yeah, Bear Creek.
Cool. They also just added on the Box Canyon Falls, like the
we
new
did
section there.
Really neat project. It'd been 19 years. There was actually a section of the platform that goes back into the falls where you can see the top of the waterfall in there. It had been closed because there was a high water event that put a bunch of debris down into the waterfall years ago. And so it hadn't been back opened, so we looked at it. We actually threw on our climbing harnesses in the winter, and 2 other gentlemen from here in town, an engineer and also the metal worker. And so we went in there and got behind the waterfall, and you could park a truck in there. It's very big, and it was like, I don't care what it costs. Let's figure this out and get this back open. So it cost about $60,000 just over to open up that platform in there, and now you can see the top of the falls and then go down the stairway down to the bottom of the falls. So it was a really neat addition.
Awesome.
Absolutely. I remember when that happened. It changed the direction of the waterfall. It was like, whoa.
I've heard some crazy stories that they went in there and they dynamited it back out to get it back into the waterfall, the original waterfall path.
Gotcha.
They were up on the high bridge and stuff. Jeff Scalota was talking about that. Yeah, it was a neat process to get the waterfall back in there, but then they just didn't want to open it back up, so we finally did.
I guess with your job, you're getting quite the history lessons of Ouray.
I do, for sure, from all over the place. Some true, some not, right?
Right.
Had you heard of Ouray before you came here or visited before?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
This was a place that my dad would even take me through when we were kids. And then, ironically, Sarah, my girlfriend, and I, she owns the Gray. Give a shout out to the Gray here in Ouray, which is a tavern there above the distillery. So we moved out here together, and we were in town in June, right before, and then the job opened up for a second time. And we said, okay, let's do it. So we had lunch at the Outlaw and camped up above. And so, yeah, I've been through here quite a few times. Beautiful place.
Sweet. So, yeah, there's been some big projects this year. The rest of the perimeter trail, adding that bridge in. I heard that a helicopter had to come drop that in.
Yeah, you bet. So there was a brand new addition, which is the Ouray Trail Group, here a volunteer group out of Ouray, fantastic organization, and they had started the perimeter trail, and the last real addition that came down onto Oak Street prior on the west side is they added trail in there and then put in, I believe it's a 70-foot bridge, helicoptered it in, a big 2-blade helicopter, and brought it up in 3 pieces, set it right down, and then they were, then opened it up. So there's only 2 other places on the perimeter trail that we'd like to get. Right now it takes you up onto Queen Street, which is in the southwest corner of town, and then also it goes down onto the Portland Jeep Trail in the southeast corner. So we're working with the Forest Service. Those are the only areas that now you have to get onto a roadway. Otherwise, it would be all single track. So there's a little bit more work that the city's doing with the U.S. Forest Service, and also the Ouray Trail Group is obviously spearheading that operation.
What do you think of the idea of doing it in a live setting where there's customers from all over the world coming in?
I think it's really neat. He talked about it here for quite a while, so I was glad to see you got it off the ground. You got a great setup here, so yeah, it's fun. You can have somebody just show up like you just did.
Every episode so far, we've had somebody just say, "Whoa, are you guys doing a podcast? That's really interesting." And then, do you want to join? It's very open setting. Come in and just get right into some very interesting topic.
What's it called?
Canary Radio.
Nice.
Canary Radio is what we're on.
Good deal.
Yep.
Yeah, today we were talking about bees, soil science. It's just randomly from someone that's here for a wedding that saw the mic set up and said, hey.
I got something to say. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, and we got all kinds of. I got big plans for what we're gonna do here. I do want to make it a radio. Right now, it's just a podcast page with everything on it. But I've talked to some people in Silverton that have a radio station. I know the mayor here has a radio station.
Correct.
And that would be really cool to get on there and have some of the hundreds of cars passing every day just tuning in. I'm sure some of them actually listen to the radio.
No, absolutely. And the mayor's actually is telecasted over in, well, it wouldn't be telecasted, broadcasted, there you go, over in Telluride, actually is where that is. You'll have to get it on the internet over here. Mountain Chill is his radio station.
Cool.
Yeah, absolutely. He'd be happy to talk to you about it.
So, somebody was telling me this story. I was at the bar just kind of talking about the idea, and I've been doing that. It's a great way to just kind of market and feel out how people are feeling about it. And,
absolutely.
And I heard this story about... It didn't even really seem real, but I trust it because this area is so unique. About two, like, genius type people that they have this, like, basement and underneath a coffee shop where they're, like, making equipment and then running their own broadcast and radio. And I'm like, wow, I need to learn more about this. I guess I'm going to have to go inspect every coffee shop around here. And be like,
really.
You guys got dudes in your basement doing a radio? Because we want to get on. So, and then I've picked up more about it, and so
gotcha.
That's kind of the
I assume that's
vision,
Ethan they're talking about, right? It's not underneath the coffee shop.
Funk Brothers or something?
That's the mayor.
Yeah.
So they are next to the coffee shop there, right across the street from right on 6th Avenue, right
so
across from
a little
City
bit of telephone there, but.
Yep, that's it. The Funk Brothers.
I got the basic information.
Now he's the mayor of Funk. He even calls himself that on the radio, on the radio.
We got a very cool town management here.
Absolutely.
Yep. So what's been one of the biggest struggles, or if you want to share about your position?
Sure. So when I got here, there was actually 6, counting all the interims, 6 city managers in 5 years before I got here. And then there was a long-term city manager here before that. So that was a huge challenge. And I had a lot of work just to do with the staff themselves, but also getting new staff, filling positions. If we were fully staffed, the city, I would actually have 90 employees. We're a town of 900. That's a very large amount, absolutely. And most of that is because of the hot springs swimming pool. To run that place efficiently, I need in between 40 and 50 staff members there.
Wow.
So, but then obviously our parks department and
that's totally outside of what that actual pool is doing in terms of stuff.
What do you mean?
I mean their staff, like the pool.
Oh yeah,
staff
that's just the pool staff,
then.
my management. Yep, and those are all underneath the city as well, and underneath me.
Okay, right. Right. I remember coming to town and trying to apply maybe to work there, and they're like, you need to go to the town hall and then do that, go through there. And I'm like, huh.
Yep, absolutely.
Sounds like a pain. I think I'll see one of these bars with all these open signs, tons of work hiring in the summer.
No, we need people at the pool all the time. That's for sure. It's been real difficult.
Don't worry, my 14-year-old is training to be a lifeguard right now.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, you'll be seeing him. He's doing his laps. He can do 20 laps without stopping. He can tread water for 2 minutes without his hands. And he's doing the brick thing, and he's doing it all right now.
That's
awesome.
good. That's good. No, that's great. We were always looking for people down there. It's just a constant. We try to be open 7 days a week, and from 10 a.m. Till 10 at night in the summer, and then we restrict the hours just a little bit from noon to 7 or 7 to 8, depending on how many staff we have in the winter.
Maybe that's something unique to Ray. I don't know. That just sounds interesting to me. That I think you're saying 14, you can be a lifeguard. And imagine, you're an adult or something, and you have a 14-year-old come pull you out of the water or something.
Yep, absolutely. So we do start them out so they're not full lifeguards. Well, they get their lifeguard certification, don't get me wrong, but they become an attendant usually at that age. The only thing they can't do is the slides because there's an age restriction on that because of insurance. But yeah, we do try to start them out, and we hope that they'll come back summer after summer after summer. And that was a real challenge actually from coming out of COVID, is we lost those people from the local schools that would come in each year and come work at our swimming pool, and we're trying to build back up that relationship again. It was just a lot of youth had found other jobs or weren't working. A lot of people just weren't working during that time too, especially the youth.
Yeah.
I've got a question. What about the ski hill?
Sure.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about why that's so unique to Ouray.
Yeah, absolutely. So we do have a free ski hill as well. It's called Lee's Ski Hill. The property was donated years ago to the city, and it is a rope tow still and we turned on after school every day and on the weekends, of course. And it has to remain free per the deed that was the city received. And it's a fantastic amenity. And we actually right now are doing a trails and parks master plan for all of our parks. And that's one of the areas that we're looking at. Is there a way to put mountain biking included for a very small course, but that people can ride that, bring their bikes up and maybe even look at changing out that tow rope to some kind of a different mechanical equipment there.
Yeah, this is like one of 2 in the entire country. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. And I don't know the exact number, but yeah, it's extremely unique and it's a lot of fun. Absolutely.
I know my kids have all 4 of my children have loved that hill their entire lives.
I bet.
We're a Telluride family. We go to Telluride and ski all the time, but there are certainly days that we say, let's go to Ouray.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's fun. I live real close to that, so it's fun to even sit down at the bottom, or I get on my snowboard and go up it too. So.
There you go.
I used to live right at the top of the Happy Heart Log Cabin, we called it.
Oh, gotcha.
And I remember literally sledding down to get to school some days when I was young.
I bet. That's great.
Another interesting thing, very related, is that sometimes you guys close off a whole road there, which is a separate ski.
Yep, just for sledding.
Sled.
Yeah, we have Vinegar Hill, it's called. And we do shut off a section of the road for actually all winter, every winter. And it's just a sled hill. And now some of the Main Street businesses have started renting sleds also. And then you could, of course, purchase them a few locations as well. And it makes it great for even the tourist families coming in or the ice climb
You don't have hours for that. It's always open.
Yep, always open, absolutely. Yep, we put up some hay bales on the side and pile a lot of snow down at the bottom so you don't go any further. So it's a lot of fun.
It's a great hill. Yeah,
absolutely.
I've had a lot of fun there, and that's something unique. I mean, and just special too. Just having a hill closed off for all winter. That's a road that's just dedicated to sledding. I mean,
absolutely.
Yeah, we talk about this. It comes up all the time, but we're not a group of people in Ouray County that sit around and watch TV for the weekend, man. It's like there is so much to do.
Absolutely. That's the fun of it. And that's why, coming out of Nebraska where our winters are real cold and colder than here, but we didn't have the snow like we did when we were kids, so there's just less and less to do. So it's fun to go throw on your cross-country skis, or I can take off on my motorcycle at lunch and head up into the mountains and get into Yankee Boy and right back down, and it's just a fantastic place for that.
Do you have a favorite? I mean, I'm one of these guys. I have so many interests that I always feel like I'm neglecting one of them. But do you have something that's more of like, yeah, I love it all, but this is my real favorite and the thing that is going to keep me in Ouray for a long time?
Yeah. So ironically, I was actually a brewer, a beer brewer, and for a long time, and that was my absolute big passion. I built this crazy brewery that's here with me, and I moved into a house out of garage, and sadly, it's stuck in a corner right now. So I've moved past that passion and done that for 20 plus years, and also owned a hop farm in Nebraska as well. So then coming up here, it's much different, to your point, and I still love to snowboard, absolutely. I love to take off and hiking, but you're right. It's just so many things to do up here. You're always abandoning something. So.
Yeah.
You want to talk about the gray and the distilling and some of that?
Yeah, absolutely. So it is in J.K. Wood Distillers, and I'm sorry, I just said that backwards. It is K.J. Wood Distillers, so actually that spot, and the gentleman that owns it, John Wood, had been distilling for quite a while and had been distilling up in Berthoud before he moved it here. And then there was a small tasting room upstairs. So Sarah Gray, actually, and again, that's my girlfriend, just asked, hey, would you want to lease this space out to us for a bar? So absolutely specializes in cocktails, but has beer up there on draft. And his alcohol, many different alcohols as well. It's not just the stuff made in-house, but of course that's the specialty piece of it and why it's nice being in there. So it's been a great local business, local hangout. Definitely kept Sarah open through the winter, and it's a fantastic spot up there. So real quaint, and velvet paintings all over the walls, and a beautiful deck to see the mountains.
It's so awesome. It's a great hangout area, and it's great that she's got such a cool last name, Gray.
Absolutely.
Because it wouldn't be the same if it was the Clark, I think.
That's right. I think you nailed it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But we love to go over there, and How much do you actually know about the distilling itself? And
I don't know a lot. I've done some distilling, but never.
Is there any other distilleries in Ouray?
Nope, there's not. That is the only
only one.
Yep, absolutely.
Okay. And does that? I imagine that requires some sort of special stuff, like a license or something.
Yeah, absolutely. It is all federally. It's all federally
right.
regulated on that side of it, and does have federal license for his distilling over there.
Cool.
You were talking about still loving snowboarding. I've been here 27 years, and I think it was just last year that my love for the river outdid the snowboarding for the first time in like 30 years. I couldn't even believe it, but I remember when I moved here, it was just mountains. It was all about the mountains. We're climbing every weekend, and then when COVID hit, I was like, I need some new toys to get outside, and got some boats, and it was like, oh my goodness, being on to start recognizing our canyons and our water that we have here. Just if there was any thought that I might want to move, it's gone now.
Yeah,
I'm good with traveling, but we're keeping the house
that's
here.
Great. Yeah, absolutely. No, it's a great place to be. I agree. Yep.
What are you doing today?
So today I am actually heading over. It is High Graders Day, which is events for mining. It's a mining event, and we are going down to do tug of war. And I am the anchor in the lightweight team today. So,
awesome.
So we're actually doing that here in just a few minutes. They did a bunch of drilling into rocks this morning. They're also doing double jack, it's called, where you take a piece of granite and try to get as deep as you possibly can with your hand tools in there. And one person hammers, one person holds the tool. So it's an extremely dangerous event and extremely fun to watch.
Awesome.
So that's going on right now, and then the tug of war should be starting here any minute.
And maybe I missed it, but what is it, what are we celebrating here?
So it's High Graders Day, and it's something that they do every year.
Okay. What does it mean, high graders?
High graders, it means, so it is an homage to the mining in this area.
Okay. Yeah, I definitely missed all that.
Yeah. No, absolutely. So,
cool.
Yeah.
And how long has that been going?
I don't know the answer to that. For extremely long time, it's there's a mining event. If anybody is in town, all the mining equipment and the rocks are left right on the south side of Flynn Park, our main park, and south of the pool there. And so everybody's welcome to go walk around in there and see the holes in the rocks and the hand drilling and everything else throughout the year. So all that's sitting there, and then they have a weekend event. Silverton was last weekend, then they do it here. And miners actually come from all over the country, hard rock miners, to do these events. And this event here in Ouray has the biggest cash prizes for the
Sweet.
For them.
It's really cool, the traditions we have in Ouray and the whole area in Telluride and Silverton too. These festivals that are really unique, and then we have our fireworks. It's just amazing, and then stuff like 4th of July where you have the firefighters fight and
yeah, it's absolutely crazy on the firefighters, actually hitting each other. Everywhere else that I've ever been to, the firefights for firefighters are usually a big can on a cable system that's up in the air, and you try to get that can to the opposite side with the fire hoses. But here they're absolutely blasting each other, so It is highly entertaining for everybody.
Never a boring day in Ouray.
Running out of time? We don't want to hold you up.
Oh, no, I'm good for just a couple more minutes, and then I'm going to run down there, and then I'm happy to come back as well. It won't take us very long to do the 2 polls.
Have you ever been on a podcast before?
No, I've not. No, I've been on the radio a couple times, but never a podcast.
Sure, yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, it's new to me doing it, and I don't listen to podcasts too much, but it's really flowed really well so far and just been pretty natural. And
yeah, that's great.
As we were saying, everyone in this area seems to live a full life. It's hard not to when you start making friends, and it's just a good community. And
no, absolutely. There's so few of us that live here full time, and that's what Sarah always jokes and says. There's only 10 of us that live here, because it's we all see each other, every day walking up and down the street and saying hello, and see each other in the post office and grocery store and everywhere else. So makes it a fun place. and so many competing interests coming into town. I don't mean that in a negative way. Just of the town is full of people that have loved the outdoors, that are here for whatever different reason, but the mountains brought them here for sure. So,
right. There's a lot. Is it still for sale? The 4J like Jeep rentals, is it 4J? It's right over there on this street. They wanted like $3.5 million. In buying that lot and that property, there was like a rule that you could only keep it what it was. You can't just turn it into something else because of the history.
Oh, that's interesting. I'm not familiar with that one.
No,
I'm not sure.
I was just looking at the land page because it's just like it's a prime spot, for
sure.
if you were to put anything there. The one thing I was wondering about is like the building code. It's when you look around Ouray, everything is very how do you say? It's just it's old-fashioned.
Historical.
Yeah.
Sure, it's historical. That you don't see any, skyscrapers, anything like that. Big. It's all brick and it's and wood and just.
No, sure. On the height side, so there's the maximum right now. The maximum is 35 feet for residential in town, and so that's restricted. Anything much higher than that. To really come up, and there's obviously view shed is a worry of building something where you're not seeing the mountains and things like that. Is why those numbers have been kept fairly low for those height restrictions.
But also the design of the places. I mean, you can't just put in some brand new looking glass front shop. I mean,
you actually can,
yeah.
But there is a historical district that is downtown that tries to stay historic per that national designation. But then on the outskirts of town, to the north, you absolutely can put something modern in.
Really?
Yeah.
So last week we were talking about fast food and how there used to be a Subway here, and that's disappeared, and I think most people are happy about that. But other commercial stuff, let's say, I don't know, you were just a crazy guy and you had all this money and you worked for Apple or something. You want to put a little mini Apple store, or become like a little Telluride, get a Nike store, something like that. Would they allow something like that?
Yeah, absolutely. And to be honest, those are all. So there's a lot of rumors in this town actually that of why we don't have any chains. That the city has code that we can't have any chains, and we do not have any code like that. And frankly, it would be illegal if we did, just because that it is a use by right as a retail or as a restaurant establishment on that the city would get sued if we did have something on the books. But it does come up quite often because people have always heard that rumor that we do. And I couldn't tell you why. I think it's probably just based on the population, the permanent population base is why something like that has not taken place beyond that Subway that was here.
Yeah, I've heard. I mentioned the rumor last week. I had always heard that it wasn't that fast food was ever outlawed, but that drive-thrus were. And that's why, I had heard the only drive-thrus that are allowed in this county are for a bank and a pharmacy, and that's what's kept some of the bigger fast foods away.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yes, right?
I have not seen that in our code. It's possible, but where it would only be able to probably take place, though, just because we are so dense with the historical designation, it would be out there, and it's commercial too, is what it's zoned, but it would be there on the northern outskirts of town. And that's really, we have a large affordable housing project going in there right now. Deed restricted. They did something similar. They're doing one in Ridgeway, one in Norwood, of up to 65 homes. And it's out of the Telluride Foundation under Ouray Homes LLC. So they have started digging out there. It's just the preliminary plat process has gone through, and now we're working on the developer's agreement for that. But the goal of that is to truly make affordable for sale housing so people can buy in and really try to meet the needs of the community for the city staff, the county staff, the school, in some of those professional jobs. And at the same time, then there's a group called Ouray Home Trust that is working on getting some rentals around. The city also owns some property up by Cascade Falls that we just did a geotechnical report on, and doing some kind of again, rental housing to really try to help Main Street and the restaurants on that housing front. So really trying to kind of a multifaceted approach on that. And the city put in a 15% excise tax on short-term rentals here just last year and put a cap on. of how many short-term rentals they could be. That revenue brought in just under $600,000 for the first year, and it's being split for half of it going to affordable housing projects to try to help the community, just as property values have really increased, and COVID really hit us hard on property values increasing and people buying in. But then 25% is going to our brand new water infrastructure and 25% to our wastewater infrastructure. We actually are building a brand new plant, $18.5 million on the wastewater side and $12.5 million on the water side. So that's, and just as housing's gone up, we know that utility bills have had to go up to build those plants as well, and is hurt on the affordability side. So it's nice that excise tax is helping us by not having to raise our rates quite as high, and can use that revenue for that.
Is there going to be some construction here in downtown when that goes through with the water?
Nope, there will not.
It's nothing
actually,
to do with that.
we could over here to our right. So the kids' wall, you can see where the power lines kind of go up for all of our. I'll try to explain it for all of our listeners. Is so directly south of town, there's some power lines that go up, and so this was crazy. We received EPA notice that we had to increase our level of chlorine, which we did in our water, to keep it safe until our plant is online. And then we have 18 months to actually engineer, site, and construct a water treatment facility. Well, you can't build anything up here in 18 months.
Sure.
So we actually just did 9 blasts. We just completely blasted out of sight of the mountain up there, and it's in the ice park above the kids' wall. And so there is construction already going on up there. I have got to get another 1 million gallon storage tank as well to ensure fire coverage in town. And then our wastewater plant is down on the other side, north of town, and that's the construction project out there. So both the water and wastewater treatment facilities should be online in early summer of next year, actually.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You brought up power lines. If there is one thing I would ever complain about around here is electric and power lines being visible. In Ridgeway, when they did their downtown project, they buried the lines, and it is amazing what it does to the views to bury power lines. It just is incredible now. Most noted for me is around the Mountain Market area. All those lines got buried, and it's just insane what it did to the mountain view.
You bet, absolutely. Yeah. So the city actually, the power lines here are owned by San Miguel Power. And the city did adopt an ordinance that any replacement projects that take place of the lines or the poles themselves, then it does have to be grounded.
Awesome.
That includes the fiber also. Most of the fiber and any new fiber is going in the ground, but there is a few spots where they allowed aerial just to try to get the build out. But again, it's there that if they come back to replace it or replace the pole, that it does have to go underground. I completely agree with you.
Perfect. I love it.
I just had a guy in the bar the other day that came from somewhere, and he's a power line technician or something like that, and he was asking me about, do we ever have big power outages where one of these goes down? He said he was just looking at them and had a feeling that one of these could go, and it just would take, especially in the winter or something, days and days to fix it. And I haven't experienced that. I haven't been in Ouray living for too long, but
yeah, absolutely. So how I won't talk on behalf of San Miguel Power, but so there is a backfed line from the Silverton area. That's actually San Miguel Power Association is trying to actually replace that line all the way over to Silverton. So if we were to lose power here, we're mostly fed from the north, then we can be switched over to the south there. So we do have a redundant system, but that redundant system to the south is very complicated, getting up over Red Mountain Pass and back down, and extremely costly. Also included with that project, they did a bunch of tree mitigation up there last year, and now they're really trying to figure it out as inflation has taken place, just because the costs of that have gone up and up. But that will include a backbone fiber as well. So then we have redundant fiber and can do the exact same thing we can on the so we do have 2 lines coming in from the north, but they're still coming in from the north. It would be great if we could tie in that entire fiber ring all the way down to Durango and then across. So that is part of that project also. But the inflation and the sheer cost of it has really slowed them down right now, and they're trying to figure out what to do.
Well, I know you got to run pretty soon, Silas. But,
yep, I do, and I can definitely come back. But yeah, I do.
Okay.
I'm gonna go blow my knees out by I'm the anchor in the tug of war, and this tug of war is crazy. You're actually 4.5 foot off the ground on boards. Yes, and you actually so you have to sit with a giant belt, and then everybody lays on top of me to get me not to stand straight up.
Is there going to be video online for this?
I'm sure there is.
Make sure we get the link that we'll put for the podcast.
Yeah, okay, perfect.
Definitely a shout out to the Gray Tavern.
Absolutely,
and we'll
appreciate that.
Post those links, and thanks, Silas, for coming. And
you bet.
We really hope to have you back. And
no, absolutely. No, thank
really
you.
Nice
to
meet you. Thank you so much.
Absolutely, thank you.
Cool.
We'll see what I can do
today. Take a quick break here.
You guys should have done the podcast in the park today.
Totally. This is a pretty mobile system. We could definitely be moving this around. So we'll be back with Canary Radio.